So you're relocating to Huntsville, Alabama, and you need to know what the cost of living is. Well, I'm so excited today. I'm going to be giving you guys, actually, I'm going to be telling you my actual bills. And we're going to go into a full cost of living breakdown so you know exactly what it's going to cost you when you move here before you take that job offer. And one of these surprised me so much, especially when I compare it to other states. I cannot believe how affordable this one part of your cost of living is going to be. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's start with these utility bills that I talked about first. Now, your mileage will absolutely vary. For context, my wife and I, we just bought a new construction home. So the energy efficiency of a new home really drove us to making that decision. And we keep the temperature really warm in the summer and cooler in the winter, although we just had a baby, so this winter we kept it a little bit warmer. So going through our bills here, our average monthly bill for electricity was about $140. Now that is for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 or so square foot home. Again, new construction. We keep it a lot warmer in the summer. So like right now, we probably have it 78 degrees. When we leave the house for the day, or if we're gonna be gone all day, we're just gonna go ahead and turn it off. Maybe that's not the most efficient on the system. I'm not really sure yet. We run a lot of laundry. We have two under, well, one's 2 years old and we have another one that's like 6 months old or so. And my wife cloth diapers, so we are constantly running that laundry machine. So that's electric. What is our sewer and water bill? It's surprising to me how consistent it is. It's right around the $83 mark, seems to be just about every month. Even when we had one month where my wife accidentally left the sprinkler system for her garden on all nights, it was still less than 90 bucks. So was really surprised there. So all in all, our electric and our sewer, and then is right around that $200 or so mark. Now, what's gonna be so surprising is that the highest bill, and this really shocked everyone here in the area, every winter, as soon as we get a cold snap, the forums on Facebook explode with people saying like it up in arms about their electric bills. Well, it's all about BTUs and how much the differential between the outside temperature and the inside temperature is. People think the summer is when you have the worst bills, but we rely on heat pumps here. And they're not the most energy efficient when it's cold. And so for us, our highest bill, electric bill, came in March, the bill in March, that was back through February, $269.66. Now again, we just had a new baby as well, so we were keeping the home a little bit warmer than we would typically do. We usually don't mind bundling up there in the winter, and then as we've been getting into the spring, it dropped back down to about that 140 mark. And so it'll be interesting to see what it is because it's been a lot warmer here lately, but the summer months are never nearly as bad as the winter months. Internet, we actually got rid of our Wi-Fi just a little bit ago. My wife went over to Holland. She enjoyed so much being able to just disconnect from everything. And to with us being so busy keeping up with 2 kids, helping people like you relocate here, we just didn't have a lot of time to be wasting, to be unintentional with our time. So we decided, let's just get rid of the Wi-Fi. But before we got rid of the Wi-Fi, we were with Flash Fiber through our Joe Wheeler, our electric company in Decatur. And it was like $59 a month for high-speed internet, so not a bad price at all. A lot of communities here are going to have AT&T or Google or Joe Wheeler, just multiple options for your high-speed internet, around that $60 to $80 a month range. So to recap, our utility costs, again, on 1,300 square foot house, new construction, we were right around $3,200 for the year for internet, sewage, trash, electric, and water. Giving you a baseline there, we definitely keep things, again, we very heavy on the water and sewer usage, a lot lighter on the electric usage. Well, running all those, I say that, but running the dryer for all those cloth diaper loads, we're probably heavier on electric uses than I give us credit for. Moving on from that though, so you've got the electric, what about the vehicles? What about your cars? Well, our vehicle expense is extremely low because we drive old beaters. My wife's car is a little bit nicer, but it's still 20 plus years old. I think it's a 2003 car that she drives, so coming up on 23, 24 years old now. With that being said, the state of Alabama, I didn't realize this, so I was looking at it. I was like, well, what is vehicle registration cost? It's gonna vary based on the age of your car, and it's gonna vary based on the value of your car. But for For us, when we renewed the van, it was about $48 for the year for tag renewal. For my car, it's usually really close in that range as well. So about $100 a year for both of our cars. Mine's a little 2007 Honda Accord that's still going. Those things will just last forever. It's crazy. But as far as gas prices goes, well, like everywhere else in the country, gas prices have been very volatile here recently, although as of recording right now, they've been trending back down. They got up over $4. Now they're around that $3.30 mark. So coming down, which is nice. Our total transportation expense that we recorded as a household was right about $2,680. My wife doesn't drive a whole bunch with her car, but when she does take it places, it is a 18-mile gallon gas guzzling machine. So obviously, depending on what kind of vehicle you have a hybrid or electric, your mileage, quite literally, will vary for your expense. But that's about where our expenses were for the year, looking from July of 25 to June of this year. But hey, we all have to eat. So I don't know. So my wife is 100% in charge of our grocery budget. We learned when we got married that when we went grocery shopping together, I was throwing all these Oreos and snacks in the cart and like, ooh, that meat looks good. Let's have that. And she was over here like, what are you doing? So we learned from marital harmony, it was best for her to do all the grocery shopping and me to just not touch it. Like, nope, not my category, not my monkey. So somehow she's superwoman. She's been able to keep our grocery expense right at about $6,500. I don't know how she's done it. Now, I will say, we are blessed to have a lot of family in the area. Both her parents, my parents live here. And so we do go over to their houses quite frequently and catch a dinner there, bring the grandkids over. So that does, I recognize that does keep our grocery prices a little bit lower. The other thing is we don't buy hardly any snacks. She puts those dollars to work. She's buying all the organic food she can. She is trying to buy the best quality meat. She's making her own rotisserie chickens now. She gave up on the ones at Costco because she hated all the ingredients in it. She's making her own sourdough now. So like my wife is super hands-on, growing garden, trying to get the highest quality food. So she's done some amazing work on the grocery, and that is 2 adults. We have a 2-year-old that eats, he loves his berries. Tell you what, that kid can just eat berries all day. But that's for 2 adults, a toddler, and then the youngest one is not really eating at all. I would say if we didn't have the family support, it would probably be another 10% higher, about $7,200. And if we were lumping on a lot of snacks and processed foods, we would most likely, we could easily hit $8,000, $9,000 for the year with that. So your mileage obviously will vary according to what you eat. For our alcohol or beers, I tend to run that through my fund money, seeing that as a discretionary expense rather than household. So it's all according to how you calculate it. Okay, so our biggest expense for last year, not counting maxing out my portion of the Roth IRA. Okay, when you get that tax refund money, got to put it to work for you, right? But our biggest expense was our new baby. Now, we paid for all of that out of pocket on a high deductible health plan. We used a midwifery service, which is recently legal back in Alabama, which is awesome. So that cost us about $5,500. And then we did a circumcision, which was around $1,100 or so. So our biggest expense was associated with the baby, about $7,000 or so out of pocket. And that includes lots of chiropractic care to support my wife during that pregnancy, $35 a visit. All of that out of pocket. Thank you, insurance. You really didn't do us anything. But hey, that's the advantage of a high deductible health plan, is your associated monthly costs are lower. So I'll take that and the freedom to choose the medical care I wish rather than being pigeonholed into the medical system. Again, my wife is completely superwoman. Home birth, makes her own sourdough. Crazy. So our biggest expense, and this is probably the biggest expense for most of you as well, is going to be the home prices, the mortgage. For us, we financed a $180,000 loan at a 6.25% interest rate, which, mind you, we bought new construction, but our monthly mortgage payment is $1,259. So for the year, about $15,401 is what it ended up being in expenses that we paid. So you can work with that. Now, this is, I think, the best part when it comes to cost of living in Huntsville, Alabama is the property taxes. Phenomenal, okay? I was just looking for comparison on this video from what I consider my home city in Alexandria, Virginia. Property taxes there on a $750,000 house was like over $8,000 a year. And they don't have homestead exemption. If you don't know what that is, homestead exemption basically cuts your taxes, property taxes in half. So that same $150,000 house in Alexandria, if you bought it in Huntsville, which is the higher taxed area, there are cheaper areas from the county or some of these other suburbs. And hey, if you're trying to minimize those tax expense, give our team a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We can help you find the best places with the lowest tax rates if you're trying to minimize that expense. But back on point, that $750,000 house would be like $3,500 a year. You would save like $5,000 a year just by having the same priced home in Alexandria versus Huntsville. Blows my mind. But for our property tax estimates, they had our house, I don't know what they're smoking at the courthouse, they had our house assessed at $256,000. I'll tell you right now, they are way off on that by at least probably about $20,000, $30,000. Sometimes just more hassle to fight it than it's worth. But if they keep going crazy with it, I may have to contest that. However, even at overly optimistic assessed value for our property, our annual property taxes are less than $100 a month, which is just phenomenal. And then our insurance, I can't remember the exact, they collect $1,259, $1,100 of that is mortgage, so $159 is what they collect in escrow for taxes and insurance. And I know the insurance is higher because I shopped it recently with USAA. Any of my military people out there, go check USAA, the bundled home and auto. You're going to have to shop every couple of years with all of them. I was with State Farm after about the 3 years, moved over to USA, probably about 3 years, I'll have to jump somewhere else because that's the insurance industry for you. They have high acquisition costs, and then once they get you, they just keep raising the price as much as they can until you leave. But I got a great deal with them this year and switch insurance providers. But that is the housing cost that we had. If you're looking at city average for Huntsville, the median home price is $340,000. So roughly double that, $2,500. Again, phenomenal. Like that's rent in a lot of cities. And you're getting a really nice house here just for that amount. Pretty much covered everything except for vacation and travel. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Huntsville has an international airport. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive flying out of there. So when my wife flew to Holland this year to go visit her sister, we opted out of the Huntsville airport and instead we drove the 3-4 hours to Atlanta because the prices were a little bit better there and she didn't have to worry about connecting flights. Huntsville, Alabama is a smaller international airport, but when you're going international, you would be going from Huntsville, then you would have to connect a flight in Atlanta, typically speaking, or maybe Nashville, and then you go to your country of choice. So it is nice for some inbound, but it's convenient nearby, but the prices can be a little bit higher. And so you're gonna have to weigh that trade-off between just driving the extra 4 hours each way to your Atlanta or driving up to Nashville. For us, it just made more sense to do the drive and enjoy some conversation in the car together. Oh, one thing I do want to hang out on when it comes to cell phone. So we decided to just go ahead and pay off our phones. Yeah, that was last year, but it was before this data set here. And then we switched from an AT&T plan, which was just, they ticked me off. They took my phone, they issued me credit for a new one, I canceled a line, and then they just kept my phone and got rid of the credit. Really ticked me off, so I could leave them. I finally left them, went over to the teleservice, super cheap, no contract. This is not an ad sponsorship for them, but it got our phone costs down to like $55 a month for my wife and I with our paid off phones. So again, we're gonna cut viciously in the areas that don't matter to us and spend extravagantly in the areas that do matter for us or save it for long-term investments and whatnot. But I'll only say that the one thing I do not have captured on here because it's private is going to be the amount that we give to the church and the amounts that we give to other charitable causes. I didn't think that information was at all relevant to show. So and then any associated business expenses, all that kind of stuff is hidden from here. But for our core household, it's what you see right here on the chart. So that gives you a good sense of our family's expenses. Now, obviously, your mileage will vary. When you look at a broader data set, MIT did a great study on living wage calculator, cost of living for Huntsville, Alabama. It goes into a lot of these categories and shows you, I gave you one data set, it shows you a lot broader data set, averages out some of these extremes a lot more. But in general, Huntsville is going to be about 9% overall cheaper than the rest of the US. If you're moving from other major cities and you are looking at a slight job offer cut in pay from where you are now, you may still end up a whole lot better than where you're living now. I mean, just the example that we talked about earlier in property taxes, if you're moving from Alexandria to here, the same house in that 750 range, that could open up $5 grand a year or over $400 a month in fun spending money for the same house, just the savings of property tax. So phenomenal. State income tax is basically 5%. And with that as well, if you have kids and you are contributing to their college fund or a 529 plan, if you're not using the state's sponsored 529 plan, then it's not going to be deductible, those contributions to outside plans. So it is something to keep in mind. You lose a little bit of tax efficiency there. But overall, 5% income tax, so low property taxes, low vehicle registration. There is not, you don't have to worry about, this is huge. My brother lives over in North Carolina and he's military, so he's able to keep his car registered here. This is his domicile, his state of residence. But over there in North Carolina, they have to do emissions testing and that hassle, and he's got a truck. Hey, you know what? It was so much better for him to be able to stay here where we don't have emission testing on the vehicles. That saves you a lot of expense, which is phenomenal. So circling back to the biggest expense for most of you is going to be housing. Huntsville is having an explosion of growth. We're looking at, the city is forecasting 2,200 new residents a year for the next 50 years. And so you are seeing a lot of explosion in growth, which is anytime you have a city growing a lot, you're going to see cost of living continue to creep up over time. So, for example, the city's been putting millions and millions into brand new recreation centers, giving better amenities to the area, and that's just driving up the desirability of this area. A lot of these other cities are doing the same. Decatur is doing a lot of amenities. A lot of these suburbs are pouring a lot of money into attractions to make their cities desirable for people moving here as the area grows. So if you can get in earlier, you're going to end up better as the cities continue to put more and more desirability. And then also just knowing which areas, if you pick an area that fits the lifestyle you're looking for, you can save a lot because you're not having to spend all this money trying to replicate what you really want to make up for that deficit. So I'll give you a perfect example. My family, when they relocated here, my parents wanted land and acreage for their homestead. So when they found that perfect area, they don't have to go travel all the time and eat out all the time because they got exactly what they want right at home. For those of you who want community centers, pools with HOAs with private pools, golf courses, all that kind of lifestyle living, being close to all that saves you not only time, but it can save you money if you are near some of those unpaid attractions that fits the lifestyle that you're looking for. If you're looking for outdoor living, I love how many trails there are here in Huntsville, Alabama, and then just going the surrounding. There's just so many hidden gems and hiking trails that you can find. And then more and more of these new subdivisions are onto trails or that you can go on as well, which is phenomenal. And if you want to know more about the city, we have a pros and cons list on this video here. Go check it out. I'll catch you on the next video.